Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Get early access to all of our interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats with writer and comic book legend DG Chichester, new episodes of classic Capes and Lunatics shows, including The Quantum Zone, This, That, or the Third, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/Capes and Lunatics. Hope to see you there. Shine bright like a diamond. All right, kids. Welcome back to another episode of Marvel Tales. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, the Dazzler's biggest groupie. It is Justin.
Yeah. Swooping back in to talk about Miss Allison.
Yes. Dazzler, the sitcom. Yes, kids, yes. We're going to cover Marvel graphic novel number 12, which is Dazzler the movie, which, again, well, I thought this was your pick. I thought you had read this before, but this was a first-time read for both of us. So
Yeah, see, I thought I had read this before, too. But what I was getting wrong in my head was that I think it was an issue of Marvel Fanfare that had Dazzler. And I think in my head I was getting those two mixed up.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because when I started reading this, I was like, wait a minute. I actually haven't read this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I had wanted to for years. I had wanted to read it because I knew about it. But I just had never got around to it.
And I've read this either, and I thought it was like it happened earlier on in her timeline, but she had some appearances before this, like X and the X-Men. I think the Spider-Man ones being Lothar doing it might have happened before this. So yeah, I mean, she had been around for a good bit at this point.
Yeah, and her regular series was still going strong at this point, wasn't it? That started in 1981.
I think so. Yeah, because I was looking at the like the reading order, and yeah, I think it did take place within her. Which again, that must seem really weird if it takes place during the ongoing series.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what was going on in her regular series at that point. Or maybe if it had just ended and that was like supposed to be the continuation.
Hold on, I'm gonna look at the list here. No, it takes place between 34 and 30, issue 34 and 35 of her ongoing.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's saying. So yeah, I don't know, but wow, this is.
I feel like that was towards the end of the series, though.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, what the heck? Wonder how much they referenced it, or if they didn't reference it, or what the.
Yeah, like I said in the last episode, I haven't read a whole lot of the Dazzler series.
Yeah, me neither.
Which is another reason I'm excited that we're covering some of this stuff, because I haven't read a lot of it. I only have maybe 2 or 3 issues of that whole series, and they're just random ones.
Yeah. Oh wait, is this? Oh, we gotta do that someday. There's the Beauty and the Beast miniseries. It's her and Hank.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, and I thought that would be a fun one to cover too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, her. Oh wait, her series went. I see 30. Oh, 42. Oh, her series might have went like 42 issues.
It went on for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they start reprinting that in the form of Epic collections.
Oh, they haven't reprinted that?
Well, they reprinted it in those Marvel Masterworks collections.
Oh, yeah.
Which I believe those are all hardcover.
Yeah, I know the 1 or 2 I have, they are hardcover.
But
God, those Marvel Masterworks are old.
They are, yeah. Let's see, I'm going to go back.
I was going to say, I remember getting like an X-Men one when I was like, God, it's probably like 13, 14 maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, they collected the whole series of Dazzler. Actually, not too long ago. It looks like the first volume was 2020. The second was 2021. The third was 2022. And there's a 4th volume this year.
So I'm thinking, you know what, they might do the Epic collections when like if Dazzler hits the MCU.
Mm, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't want to really pay $50 for a hardcover Dazzler at this point. Sorry, yeah. But this new volume does have that miniseries, Beauty and the Beast.
Yes,
it has that Marvel. Yeah, I was thinking of a Marvel fanfare story with her and Rogue.
Oh,
from
nice.
Issue number 38 is what it was, and that's collected in this volume too.
I haven't read that either, but I probably would have preferred reading that.
Yeah, that was a good story, actually. Yeah. I don't know why I got that mixed up with this graphic novel, thinking that they were the same thing.
Yeah,
mind does weird things sometimes. But yeah, I hadn't read this before. I had always wanted to, knowing that it was a graphic novel, and I thought the premise was interesting. But
yeah, me too. Like I had seen it referenced before, and I always wanted to check it out. But yeah, this thing is kind of weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do we have a synopsis for this one?
Oh yes, we do have a synopsis.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Thank God, yes.
That's good, yeah.
All right, and again, kids, this is on the Marvel app, but if you're looking for it, you have to search Marvel graphic novel, and it will bring up that series. Because I typed in Dazzler, thinking it would Dazzler the movie would pop up. It did not pop up. It's so weird though, because Death of Captain Marvel that we did 2 episodes back. You just type in Death of Captain Marvel, it'll pop up. But this, you have to specifically put Marvel graphic novel.
Right. I even put in Dazzler, the movie.
Yeah, and it doesn't pop up. Or you just search Dazzler. You just put Dazzler in there and search all her stuff. It doesn't come up.
Yeah. If you do that, it just brings up her solo series and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, but
or is Marvel trying to bury this?
Well, there was a rumor for a while, and I laughed about this, that Taylor Swift, that they were going to approach Taylor Swift to be Dazzler. I was like, okay, all right, yeah. Yeah.
Lilith and I were talking about that, because, I don't know if Lilith's crazy about that idea. I'm like, well, we'll put asses in seats because all her fans, all her little Swifties will show up. And
absolutely they would, but I don't think Taylor herself is willing to. She's got too much money, and besides, I don't think her she's got a fairly busy schedule. Like her life is fairly full. I don't think that having some type of multi-movie contract with the MCU is going to be something that fits into Taylor Swift's grand design of her life schedule anytime soon.
And I don't know they would have to pony up big money to get her to fit this in her schedule. I think she just became a billionaire, so it's just
she did, yeah.
She would have to do it for love of the game, if nothing else, because
right. I mean, really, all she'd have to do is show up at a studio for an hour or two and do some green screen stuff. But
although I know Lilith was against the idea. I wouldn't mind from the sounds of it. Until anything gets discovered. But it sounds like she's a decent person, because I know she was giving bonuses to everybody like on the tour, like even like the guys who drive the trucks that transport the equipment around and stuff. And I don't know if she does this everywhere or just here, because she's from around this area, like Pittsburgh. Like she did make they said like a big contribution to the food bank and stuff here.
Oh yeah, I read about that. Yeah.
So she actually seems like a decent human being. So
yeah, I always like that when celebrities turn out to be good people. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So should we do the synopsis for this?
Sure.
All right. All right. Marvel graphic novel number 12, Dazzler the movie, from October 1984. Writer James Jim Shooter, yeah,
Shooter man.
Penciler Frank Springer, inker Vince Coletta, colors Christy Shealy, letterer John Morelli again for the second week in a row, and editor Ralph Macchio.
And a great cover by Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh yeah, Sienkiewicz cover, yeah.
Yeah, the cover might be the best thing of this.
Yeah, I know. There you go. They need to make a poster of that. Well, like Lilith and I were saying, because we covered Amazing Spider-Man 203, which were Dazzler guest starred in that.
Oh yeah.
And it has a cover by Mr. You Know Who.
Your mother's a whore.
But But there was all kinds of like Dazzler light effects on it, and it was like, they should reprint this and like put like a foil cover or something on it. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's what I said. Again, I'm like, well, once the character hits the MCU, I'm sure they'll start doing all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
That's like hotcakes.
Yeah. And like I was telling her, like that one, and then the next episode we're doing like a Marvel team up. They reprinted that in Marvel Tales. Those have Todd McFarlane covers on them. So if you want like a Dazzler by Todd McFarlane, yeah, there's
the Spider-Man classic.
Yeah, it's like there's like 2 or 3 issues of Marvel Tales around 230. Yeah, where they have like McFarlane Dazzler on them.
Yeah, that's how I read that issue. Was I got that reprint? Yeah.
All right, here we go, kids. Strap in. While teaching an aerobics class, because it is 1984, Allison briefly loses control over her powers and begins to glow in front of everyone, but corrects it before anyone can believe what they are seeing. After her class, she is approached by Eric Beale, the owner of Beale Productions, who is interested in connecting her with the right people. However, she politely declines his offer and goes off to begin her regular workout. During her session, she is approached by a very nervous young man named Freddie, who tries to befriend her. However, they are interrupted by the club owner, Mr. Witwicky, and Eric Beale. Beale informs Allison that he just bought the club and wants to promote her, a ploy to once more introduce her to the right people in the industry. She declines his offer to go out in favor of going out with Freddie, who she encourages to be a confident young man, and they share a brief kiss. All right, so far so good, but
it starts off okay.
Yeah. After her date, Allison returns home to relax and catch up on the news. The paper is full of the usual anti-mutant headlines, which makes her worry about being outed as a mutant and the effect on her career. Allison gets a call from Storm of the X-Men, who is concerned about her well-being with the current wave of anti-mutant hysteria, but Allison insists that she is fine and she can look after herself. After the phone call, she begins to get ready for her first LA singing gig. Elsewhere, at the mansion of Roman Nekobach, Roman sees out his latest female conquest and goes through his rigorous grooming routine so that he is presentable for Dazzler's show. All right, kids, we're starting to come downhill now.
Yeah.
Attending the show is Eric Beale, who is still interested in trying to woo Dazzler into his employ. When her show is done, Dazzler is bombarded by paparazzi who question her about her involvement with Roman Nekobah, and she is forced to exit the club from the rear before catching a cab home. Upset over the negative publicity that Nekobah has made for her, she's even more infuriated by the fact that he is in her apartment, waiting for her and beginning a sloppy advance toward her. Fed up with his constant meddling in her affairs, Allison screams at him until he leaves her apartment. Left alone, Allison wonders where her career can go if she has to rely on more famous people with dubious intentions to carry her aloft. All right, kids, I think my tone is about to come down to Russell Hulk 2099 levels here.
Oh, no. Here we go.
So the guy's waiting in her apartment, tries to rape her.
Basically.
I mean, literally, like, tackles her to the floor pretty much.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Which, again, good. She kicked him out, so I'm like, okay, you go, girl. But,
she should have blasted him in the face and burned his retinas off.
Oh, my. Yeah. Well, then he would have screeched and maybe, I don't know, sued her or...
well, maybe she could have said it was self-defense.
Not in the face!
While walking the streets the next day, Allison is once more confronted by Roman Nekobah. He tries to follow her in his sports car, offering her a movie deal. She refuses, but he continues to follow, sending Allison into a run. When she rounds a corner, she uses her light powers to pop his tires, causing him to crash. This doesn't stop Roman, who chases after her, but he suffers a minor heart attack from the physical exertion, forcing Allison to go to his aid. However, it really turns out that Roman has been faking it to see if she really did care. Finally warming up the Roman, she agrees to go out to dinner with him and listen to his next proposed movie deal. Allison accepts, trying to make her dreams happen, and the two begin a relationship. This is where the crap hits the fan.
Yeah. Totally.
I'm like, he's literally chasing after her, and she's like, I want nothing to do with you. But after the fake heart attack, he's like, oh, give me a chance to talk, and it's like,
yeah, it's
really.
I don't get this. Yeah.
I mean, I think the point of this is like the seduction of fame and stuff, but I'm just like, yeah. I mean, the dude starts off very creepy, and just
Yeah, I have a hard time believing that Allison would forget the fact that the dude broke into her apartment
pretty much tried to rape her.
and tried to rape her. He assaulted her in her own apartment, and that was like his opening play. Like,
He's literally a stalker.
yeah, and then he's following her in his car, like, and then fakes a heart attack to get her to rush over to him. Like, that's psychotic behavior.
I know. She's literally running away from him on the street, and he's like, no, wait.
Yeah, no, this is where this went down. I
Yeah.
thought it opened up okay.
Yeah, and again, it's like
But-
if Roman had been more like closer to like Freddy, like that personality, I'd be like, okay, But no, that guy's almost like he's a full-on stalker. He was an attempted rapist, and it's just like,
And when we first meet him, he had just had a one-night stand, bang some girl that was probably old enough to be his daughter. Like,
mhm.
oh yeah, thanks for a nice night, honey. And then you see the room is all thrashed with alcohol and cigarettes. It's like, oh, cool. This is a really model citizen we're being introduced to here, and this is who's going to be pursuing our heroine, our like the focal point of our story. Like,
Yeah, and they say the grooming, but I mean, he basically pulls a full Shatner. He's like putting his girdle on, and all that.
Girdle and a toupee and all this
Mhm.
other crap. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, this story was kind of depressing. This gains them a lot of publicity, and Allison starts living the life of the rich and famous, openly indulging in its excesses. She eventually reveals to Roman her mutant nature, and Roman is impressed, not at all turned off by her mutant nature. In fact, her revelation only makes their relationship stronger.
Boo.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. As the days progress, Roman finds a backer for their movie ideal from Eric Beale. In spite of Allison's misgivings about Beale's dubious interest in her, she agrees to the deal. They continue their whirlwind relationship, and Allison plunges into the excessive lifestyle of the rich even further. Which, again, this is so weird because it's like, yeah, Beale is an a-hole, and I'm glad she sees it an a-hole, but I'm just like, how is Roman any better?
Exactly. Yeah. She would have, the Dazzler that I know would have kicked him to the curb and not think twice about it, and never given him the time of day again after that.
I mean, again, if you think about it, Roman's worse than Beale because so far all Beale has done is to be like, oh yeah, I bought the gym, so now you can date me, which is creepy itself, but he hasn't physically tried to attack her yet.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Or
and he's not following her in his car.
Or chased her down the street. Yeah, so I'm like,
faking a heart attack on the sidewalk.
At this point, why is Beale so much worse than Roman? He's, I mean, Roman's become physical in a stalkery way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't get it. Days later, she looks at herself in the mirror and is a little more than shocked to find that she is losing her shape. Roman then enters with a newspaper and reveals to her that he had publicly outed her as a mutant, hoping that they can garner more publicity for their movie and show mutants in a positive light. Okay, Justin, again, another warning sign. He outed her. I mean, how?
Yeah. I mean, that should have been the last straw for her.
Mm-hmm.
She'd be like, "What? Are you kidding me? You've revealed the secret that I'm a mutant to the world." Oh, yeah. That was when I read that, I was like, "What? He did what?"
Again, another warning sign. It just. At first, Allison is horrified that Roman has done this, but eventually she decides to go through with things and agrees to make a public demonstration of her mutant powers. And again, if you hadn't done that, maybe that you could play it off as, oh, it's a publicity stunt. I'm not really
Yeah.
or whatever.
Right. Just he's drumming up some hype for the movie. That's all.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
The appearance happens at an airport where Allison displays her powers to a large audience by drawing energy from the sound of a jet engine to fuel her mutant power. The audience is horrified by the display and is visibly afraid of Allison's powers. A number of them flee the scene. Leaving, Dazzler is upset by the reaction, and when they return to their hotel, they are confronted by a group of anti-mutant bigots that Dazzler has to fight off with her light powers. And I guess at this point, like she absorbed so much energy from the planes, her powers have changed. Now she can store it up. But I guess
like a battery.
Yeah, just had to could shoot it out and stuff. But now she can store it.
Yeah.
Dazzler decides to get back into shape, and in spite of the negative press that is generated from the revelation that she is a mutant, the film project goes on with a story that shows mutants in a positive light. The constant and frequent violent protest against the movie deal has Roman worried about their mutual safety. However, Dazzler finally embraces her mutant nature, is not worried, and assures him that she can look out for both of them. When they screen the completed film, anti-mutant rioters smash into the studio, forcing them to flee. Dazzler once more uses her light powers to get them out of their jam. The next day, she is called by Roman, who tells her to go to the Beale production company before strangely hanging up the phone. Arriving there, she is told that Roman has left and that Eric Beale wants to meet her. There, she is blackmailed by Beale, who had bought Roman by offering him a new concert tour, and he demands that she sign a new contract with him where he owns her lock, stock, and barrel, or face the destruction of her print and the career suicide that would follow. Allison does not break and refuses to sign the contract. She then uses her light powers to destroy both her and Roman's contracts, as well as what is supposedly the only print of the film, before storming out of the studio. She is met by Roman, who, after finding his courage, had returned to try and terminate his contract. Allison tells him what she had done. With everything sorted out, Allison and Roman part amicably, and she vows that he will see her again before walking away, more proud of who she is. And right here it says the story is continued in Dazzler 35.
35.
Yeah, so literally, they picked this back up in the middle of the ongoing series,
which I think was also written by Jim Shooter, if I remember right. I think he was writing the regular title at that time.
35, written by yep.
Yeah. So does that mean that we see more of Roman?
I'm looking at this synopsis for 35 now. Yeah, well, first thing she goes back to her old apartment, that she hasn't been to since she was outed as a mutant.
She gets a job as a waitress at an all-girls club.
Oh yeah.
Runs up against a mean roller derby team, and then after that,
I don't think that I don't
a different writer.
Yeah, I guess the only they kind of pick it up, but the only effect on the ongoing series is now everyone knows she's a mutant, I guess. And again, it's Roman, another warning sign. It's the dude. I mean, he signed that contract, and he was basically just going to sign her away, and now. It's just he finally he screws up some courage to go back and,
Yeah, he's rushing back. He's like, oh, I need to wrap up. Well, why did you even sign it in the first place?
Yeah, exactly.
If you say that you love Allison and all this stuff, which I always thought was crap in the first place.
Yeah.
I never understood this romance between Roman and Allison to begin with.
Yeah, like I said, we see what an a-hole Beale was, but I didn't think Roman wasn't that much better.
Yeah, and it's such a sudden shift. All of a sudden she hates his guts, and then after they're working on the movie project together, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I'm really glad we got the time to get to know each other." Why are you all of a sudden having this change of heart about him? There's no exposition to detail this change of heart for her whatsoever.
It's not a good representation of her character. I think it makes her seem shallow, that it's oh, you can get me a movie deal and stuff. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. Yeah. And her whole oh, look at me, I've gained weight. She's looking at herself in the mirror. Oh, I've gained weight. I'm drinking all the time. I'm smoking cigarettes. Like, what is
Oh
this?
yeah, there's at least two different scenes. One of her doing the hand bra and stuff.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
bunch of scenes of her just posing in the mirror. I don't understand this. Yeah, I don't get it.
But again, like I said, the whole thing with her changing her mind on Roman. Is that just Jim Shooter's sloppy way of trying to show like the seduction of show business or something?
Maybe, yeah, and how it can allure people and how it can change people down to their very core, like it did with her. How
Because
she,
that one scene, she's like smoking a cigarette. She's like, "Wait a minute, when did I start this?"
yeah, 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 and then she starts looking at herself in the mirror. Yeah, and I, I see the value in that. And to be honest with you, I would have liked to have seen more of like her involvement in the production of the movie. Like my
Yeah.
favorite part was when they were actually filming the movie, and
Mhm.
she's in her costume for the film. She's doing her part there, and she has to use her powers like in the filming of the movie. I thought that part was cool, and I wanted to see more of that. To be honest with you, when I first heard about this issue, I thought we were going to see more of that type of stuff.
Yeah.
She was discovered by somebody, and whether it was revealed that she was a mutant or not, I whatever. But then, like sometime during the production of like the filming of the movie, like there's maybe a villain on the set that is kind of like lying in secret that's trying to do something. Maybe not necessarily against Dazzler, but somebody in the production of the film, like like a movie villain, like Mysterio, somebody who has a background in movies or
Mhm.
something like that, and then have them be up to some stuff, and Dazzler starts to realize it because there's maybe weird accidents happening on the movie set and people are getting hurt or killed or stuff like that. And then she has to figure out who's behind this stuff, and then that type of thing happens. I would have that's kind of what I was expecting to see, was them filming a Dazzler movie, and all of this stuff kind of happens to her while she's doing it, and it turns out to be a disaster. Even though she's really excited about this experience, it just becomes such a negative experience because all this stuff keeps going wrong with it. That's kind of what I was hoping for, but
Yeah.
instead we get this pseudo feminist, like weird, like male projection fantasy crap. Like, I don't.
Yeah, again, if we weren't going to get a straight up villain, I was hoping for like what we got in the first couple pages, like that Allison, where like, if they were making the movie and people just kept trying to seduce her with like fame and power, and her just saying no, no,
Yeah,
you know,
just shooting them down constantly, and yeah,
'cause
exactly.
this just seems like the story of any other Hollywood starlet,
Hmm. Constant, yeah. This like somebody dealing with a Harvey Weinstein type of character.
yeah,
Dealing with the horrible
and like giving
stories
it,
we've heard
and
from
like
the
kind of
Catholic couch.
giving into it, yeah.
Yeah, and giving into it like Allison did. Like eventually Roman wore her down. Like, and that's a gross message to send. That
Exactly, and again, she's already like a established character. How about this be the story of the
Yeah,
girl who says no to that stuff?
exactly. Because she's been around for a few years. She's had some adventures. She's not a newcomer. She's not naive. She knows what she's doing. Um,
And you could make it where it's like, a lot of people hate her because she's a mutant, but it's like the other side, there will be people who admire her because it's like, yeah, she didn't like give in to all that temptation and stuff.
exactly. Yeah. She stood her ground. Yeah. And the whole thing with the anti-mutant hysteria, I feel like that kind of detracted from the main overall story. I mean, that was
Yeah.
really the only source of action or peril, I guess you could say, that we got in the whole story, was when her and Roman were running from the violent mob that was attacking them at the movie theater. Which, again, I thought that was kind of weird too, that all of a sudden they're there smashing the windows in and climbing in. What are they going to do? Set fire to the place? They're going to try to burn the print of the movie, or are they going to try to kill Allison? What are they doing there? Ugh, it's just, it was a mess.
I know. I get, but again, I mean that is, I mean, a lot of mutant stories you do get that. So
Yeah, that's true. I guess I was just hoping that this was going to be an exception.
yeah, no, but I mean, and that's the kind of the closest we get to like a physical threat, because like yeah, like you said, there's no villain in this. You
No
know, the
villain.
rest of it
Yeah,
is basically just Hollywood and just
yeah. Very brief action sequence with her blasting Roman's tire and her doing the stuff with her powers on the movie set, like, and her demonstration of her powers where they can see her light from space. Like,
Mhm.
I just didn't understand the point of any of that stuff. And I knew that going into it, looking at the year that this was written, 1984, almost 40 years ago, I thought, okay, we're going to have at least one part where Allison has to fend off some nasty dude. Like,
Mhm.
unfortunately, like, I could predict that, you know. But no, she has to fend off two nasty dudes in this story. And one of them actually gets her for a while.
I know.
I can't wrap my head around it.
I mean, every scene with Roman made my skin crawl. It's just
Yeah.
it's just like, why did she do it? I was hoping she was going to tell him off by the end, but by the end, I mean, they part on good terms. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Imagine, like, I was reading this and imagining, like, 1984
Mm-hmm.
when this was written. Like, I was imagining, like, William Shatner seducing Madonna.
Mm.
You know what I mean? William Shatner at his age then, wearing the toupees, the whole, what was that cop show he was doing? T.J. Hooker.
Yeah.
T.J. Hooker, William Shatner seducing 1984 Madonna.
Or he was working with Heather Locklear.
Yeah, right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get into that. I'll never be able to get into that. I'm glad that we read this, though, to be honest with you, Phil, because it shows us how far we've come.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because this story would never be written now. Jim Shooter would get canceled in a heartbeat if he tried to trot this crap out.
Oh yeah.
2023. He would get burned down overnight.
I mean, I know people have issues with like some of the Shooter stuff, but I'm like, I didn't think he was this far. Writing something like this.
We have to lay the blame for this at his feet because this is his story.
I mean, if you wanted to get to where they got with this, they should have did have both these guys, Roman and Beale, trying to seduce her with, "Oh, I'll help you get your movie made. I'll help you get your movie made."
Competing for her, yeah.
By the end of the story, basically telling them both off, and you're both horrible people, and then them saying, "Well, your movies are never going to get made." And she's like, "You know what? I'm going to get it made, even if I have to out myself as a mutant. I'm going to get this movie made."
Yes. Yep. Exactly. I would have loved to have seen something like that. Yeah, that would have been a much better ending than what we ended up getting.
Because I mean, again, it's like, I don't get it. Roman tries to rape her and then he outs her. I mean,
yeah, that's so horrifying.
But she's still in love with him.
And she's still sticking with him. Yeah. Ugh. It's awful. And the cameo with the X-Men was completely unnecessary. We get a page of guest appearance with the X-Men with Mohawk Storm lounging around on the couch. Oh, I just thought I'd call you up, Allison. There's a lot of anti-mutant sentiment going on right now, and I'm worried about you. Really?
You know how us girls like to chatter and gossip. Oh, shoot.
Let's gossip about anti-mutant sentiment. All right. The art was okay too, but I know that this dude, Frank Springer, he didn't really like superhero comic books very much. He wanted to do kind of like romance stuff and like, I think maybe like Archie type stuff like that. So maybe he was happy with this issue with not having to do any superhero stuff. It was just...
Yeah, maybe that's another reason they toned that down a little bit, because yeah.
But I'm glad that we read this because it does show us how far we've come, and this would never be written today. It shows us too how much crap women had to go through in 1984. Like, that was only 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that type of stuff still happens today, unfortunately, it's sad to say. But it was a lot more prevalent then, and a lot of stories were never told.
Mhm.
Like this type of scenario would go unnoticed or unwitnessed or unreported for decades,
Oh yeah.
which is really sad. But it, I'm glad that Allison did have her triumph at the end. She
Yes.
blew up the print. She stuck to her principles and all that. I wish that this whole this plot with romance with Roman, that whole romance plot, that was so awful. Like, that needed to go.
Yeah, or at least at the end, at least have her be like, you know what, has to be goodbye. You know what, I know you care. Well, in a sick, twisted way, but she should have just been like, you know what, I have to cut you out. You're not good for me either. Goodbye. But they
Yeah.
left on such good terms. It's like, oh, I'll see you again. It's like, really? He was
I'm
about to
almost
sign,
afraid to read it.
he was about to sign you away into slavery and walk away, and it's like,
Yeah, and he outed you as a mutant to the whole
he
world.
raped you. It's like,
Yeah.
again, I think Roman did more nasty stuff to her than Beale did.
Yeah. If there was a villain in this issue, it was definitely this Roman.
Yeah, because Roman at the beginning he wanted to date her. She said no, so he kind of let it drop. At the end, yeah, he kind of wanted to own her career, but it's like, I think Roman did more stuff to her than Beale did.
Absolutely. At least Beale didn't out her. He didn't stalk her at her apartment, try to rape her.
He wanted to date her in the beginning. She said no, and like he kind of, he kind of was like, oh, you'll regret this, but he didn't like physically attack her or anything.
He didn't try to go out and ruin her life or anything like that.
I mean, he's a horrible piece of trash, but still, I think he was like, lesser than Roman.
Definitely. I completely agree with that, Phil. Yeah. Roman's the villain of this story. Yeah. And she fell in love with the villain. I don't get it. Like, this isn't the Allison that I know.
No.
This isn't. Yeah. So,
if anyone was going to like turn her head and, like kind of trick her into something like this, I thought it was going to be Beale before Roman.
You're right.
Like when he's sitting in her apartment when she gets home, I'm like, oh, she's going to go to Beale before him. But no, when she makes that turn after he fakes the heart attack, I'm like, what is she doing? What is
so strange? And there's no, like I said before, there's no exposition given that explains her dynamic change of attitude towards this guy.
And again, it's so weird. I mean, again, I haven't read a lot of the Dazzler ongoing, but this is like, this would make more sense if this was like the first time we ever saw Allison, and then like they had her to have the show character growth. But again, this is 34 issues into her ongoing series.
Yeah, and she had been around for several years.
She made appearances in X-Men, and like I said, she teamed up with Spider-Man and stuff. It's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't the Dazzler that I know.
Yeah, if this was her very first appearance and she was just off the bus from like Kansas or something, okay. But
yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah, trying to make her name for herself in Hollywood.
At this point, I think she's already been a Herald of Galactus.
I think you're right.
Literally.
Yeah.
I believe she's faced Doctor Doom. I'm like, really?
She has. And Quasar. She had already met Quasar at this point. Yeah, she's met a lot of important people in the Marvel Universe. The dude that seduces her is this like William Shatner type of guy. Like, I can't understand that. I can't wrap my head around any of that.
A less attractive William Shatner.
Yeah. And his last name's basically Hoboken, spelled backwards.
Oh, okay.
What's the deal with that, Shooter? What are you trying to do there? Like Hoboken, like Roman Hoboken? I don't. Whatever you're mining for, keep on digging, I guess.
I'm sorry, Mr. Shooter, but I think you shot yourself in the foot with this one.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. This is kind of indefensible, this issue. And it's a shame because I wanted to read this. I thought this was going to be a good spotlight on Dazzler. I thought, like I said, I had this whole kind of, and maybe that's part of the reason I was disappointed, was I had this whole idea in my head about what this is going to be. Like Allison working on some movie set and getting plagued by somebody that's got some spite against the director or her or somebody else in the production. like I thought that's what it was going to be. We're going to see some type of supervillain fight towards the end where Dazzler's outed because she has to use her powers, and they record it on film or whatever. But no, we got this mess, this awful mess from 1984 Jim Shooter, and it's a stink pile. This is a stink pile.
And like you were saying about the Frank Springer art, like I know it's not him, but you know who this Frank Springer art reminds me of? Carmine Infantino.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I love Carmine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And I like Frank Springer. Yeah, his artwork's good too. Yeah, but just I don't know. It was there were far too many useless panels of her posing in front of a mirror. And
there's even that one point where Roman walks in when she's completely naked.
Yeah, she's naked, and it's just a lot of trifling stuff like that didn't need to happen. It was totally unnecessary. And it's like you're going to fill a 64-page graphic novel with this? Like, this is a missed opportunity if I ever saw one.
Yeah, because there's like 2 or 3 examples. It's like she can't walk past a mirror without getting completely naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not good. That's not good.
Or is that, again, is that Jim Shooter's ham-fisted way of trying to show, now she's more superficial because
she's a Hollywood
starlet
or something, I guess. But if you're gonna have that narrative, like make that be your main narrative for the story instead of just this little tangential thing that you address for maybe a couple of pages. Have that be your main narrative. That Allison, she's got a hit. She's a big name in Hollywood now. It's all gone to her head. She's drinking. She's chain smoking. She's gained weight. She's treating people like crap because she thinks she's a Hollywood starlet. Like, this is changing her personality. Like, make that be the focal part of your story. Maybe that would be more interesting than what we got here. But he didn't do that. Instead, he put that in as a side piece, and then had this weird narrative about the anti-mutant sentiment, and stinks.
And again, I don't know in the regular series if she's between costumes or something, but just hit me. She doesn't put on any version of any costume she had in this issue. Not the white disco one, not the later one she wore in the X-Men, that blue one,
Yeah, I love the blue one. That one's my favorite, yeah. But yeah, I think she was still rocking the disco one at this point. I don't think she had the blue one yet, but I think that was issue number 40 when she got that, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she's not wearing any costume in this whole thing.
Yeah, it's weird.
Again, this kid, I mean, you could barely tell this is a superhero story except for, she's a mutant, the mention that, she's a mutant, and, she calls the X-Men for 2 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if Shooter just wanted that, or if it's just like, we're calling the X-Men to show that this is in continuity or something,
or maybe there was maybe they were building up some larger story, because I remember in the X-Men title for a while, that was all we heard about was anti-mutant stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if that was a conscious decision of them for an overarching story.
You know what? The solicit I guess they sold this on. It's on here because it says winging her way out to Hollywood to make her first film. Dazzler's license to be on the upswing, but then her greatest nightmare comes true, turning her very existence into a hellish fight for survival as the world learns that Dazzler is a mutant, with bigots and mutant haters hounding her and rapists. With her powers undergoing a surprise metamorphosis, Dazzler seeks aid from the one person who might be able to help her, Storm of the X-Men, not to be missed. So again, you throw in one page of a telephone conversation with the X-Men, and then you can throw the name Storm and the X-Men in the solicit, I guess.
Yeah, and since when does Allison turn to her for help?
Yeah, before she
happened in this issue.
Was she calling them a lot? What?
Yeah, Storm calls Allison.
Oh, yeah.
So she's the one that calls Allison.
Yeah.
Allison doesn't turn to her for help. Yeah, I mean, she eventually joins the X-Men later on. Yeah, but in this issue, she doesn't call up Storm for help.
I guess if you word it that way, though, you think the X-Men are going to show up by the end of this thing.
Yeah, they're going to help her with the riot mob or something, right? Yeah. Oh, man.
I just want to know why, when she's making that movie, she dressed like Titania.
Right. I still think that was my favorite part of the issue, though. I wanted to see more of that, like her actually on the movie set, filming stuff, like being a movie star, getting into it, having fun with it for a little while, and like kind of like letting loose a little bit. And then, discovering, okay, there's murders or whatever happening on this movie set. Like, there's problems that we need to take care of. It was a missed opportunity. It definitely was. Yeah.
So, wait a minute. I was going to say, who did this pinup in the back?
I think that's Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Nice.
I think it is. I think he did the cover and that, if I remember right.
But yeah, that whole thing with Roman at the end just throws me, because shouldn't she have been like, "No, you signed the contract. You're gonna go back to tear it up, but you signed that contract."
Yeah,
and you tried to read.
Exactly. And in that description you were just reading, the nightmare struggle that she goes through is against Roman. Like, it's not against like these anti-mutant people, this nightmare struggle. It's against this guy that won't leave her alone and tried to rape her and all this stuff. He's grooming her. Like, it's gross.
Because like the last we see of Beale, she like decks him, which is good. But I'm like, shouldn't she gone home with Roman and decked him too?
Yeah, exactly. That would have made a good ending.
Or you know what? Or at the end, they should have revealed that Roman was like mastermind or somebody with like hypnotic control, and be like
Mesmero,
yes,
or mastermind, or
somebody
like that. Yeah, some mutant villain with hypnotic powers. Like, I would have accepted that. Okay, Allison fell in love with this dude because he hypnotized her. Like, I get it. Like, that makes sense to me. That's something that a villainous mutant would do. Some villainous dirtbag mutant would definitely go up to a beautiful woman like Dazzler and be like, "Oh, you're in love with me, aren't you? Oh, yeah, sure."
And then it could be like, "Well, you beat me, but guess what? I outed you to the world as a mutant."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she could be like, "Well, I don't care. I'm going to own that. Like, I'm going to accept the fact that the world knows, and I don't care. I'm going to be okay with it because I still beat you at the end of the day." Like, that would have been a great ending.
Because think of all the stuff Roman did in this story and frame it in a new light as, oh, this is a supervillain in disguise. It makes much more sense, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely.
He tries to seduce her, and then when she doesn't fall for it, he goes, "Oh, F it, I'm just going to hypnotize her," or something.
Yeah. I would have accepted that a lot more.
Or like you said, we're dealing with Hollywood. What about Mysterio?
Yeah, so some villain that's associated with movies, and I think there's a couple of others, like ex-actors or something like that would have been an ideal foil for this story.
Yeah,
and would have made for a great little fight for Dazzler at the end of it.
Or if you wanted to do cosmic enough, if you really wanted to do the seduction of Hollywood, what if it was like Mephisto or something? Like,
make it a demonic story.
And by the end, it's like, oh, you know what? You can have the #1 movie in the world. You can, everyone will love you, even though they know you're a mutant, but you got to sell your soul to me. And it's like, it's final battle. She's like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked that too.
Yeah, but again, it didn't matter to me that there wasn't like a traditional supervillain or anything behind this. It's just the whole Roman thing.
Yeah, it put a sour taste in my mouth for sure, this whole thing.
Oh yeah, I mean the rest of it, it would have worked mostly. The Roman thing just poisoned the whole thing for me.
Yeah, they didn't really focus on one particular thing. Like the plot skirted around the whole thing with the seduction of fame and how it changed Allison. There's a little bit of stuff with the anti-mutant sentiment and her trying to make a name for herself in Hollywood, but it didn't really focus on any one of those particular threads of plot.
And again, I was just like, I don't know, the whole thing with Roman, he just seems so out of character when he was with Allison, because I was like, I was waiting for, oh, she's going to break up with him because she's going to come home one day and find him in bed with another one of those young
Right.
girls or something. But no.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm like, really? This guy changed his spots, the partying and sleeping with different women every night. Really? All of a sudden?
Yeah. Overnight, they both have this miraculous change of heart, like it's a Lifetime movie or something.
Yeah. After he tried the rape, but all of a sudden he's the good boyfriend. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
And then he's going to out her to the world that she's a mutant. Yeah. Oh, he's doing it to help her, right? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's just Hollywood. Oh, God.
Yeah. Gaslighting.
So yeah, this story, kids.
That taste is still in my mouth.
Like I said, though, I'm glad that we read it because
Yeah.
we have come a long way.
Yes.
We have come a long way since this, and especially female characters are treated, thankfully, with a lot more respect.
Hey, I love kids. Before we start this episode, Justin's like, "This might be a short episode. I don't know if we're gonna have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm gonna have a lot of thoughts on this thing. I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes more comes out when you're bashing something than you're
That's
praising.
true. That's true. They can't be good all the time. Like,
yeah,
we can't always cover all the.
Again, kids, we're not phonies. If it's bad, we'll tell you it's bad.
That's right. That's right. We're not going to blow any sunshine. I found a little clip about that. I was reading on Wikipedia about Dazzler a little bit earlier, and it said, in an attempt to draw more attention to the series, Shooter, Springer, and Vince Colletta created Dazzler the movie, the 12th entry in the Marvel graphic novel series. The story publicly outed Allison as a mutant, a development that would drive subsequent issues. It did little to boost sales, and Gagnon would later call Dazzler the movie the most extravagant waste of the graphic novel format to date. I feel like that sums it up pretty well. What do you think, Phil?
Well said. I could not have said it better myself.
The most extravagant waste of the graphic novel format to date.
Mark my words.
And that was 40 years ago. I think that it remains the most extravagant waste still.
I mean, I'm sure there's bad ones out there, but name me another graphic novel as bad as this.
Yeah, I can't think of one. There might be one out there, but I haven't read it.
I just don't know what it is. Is it just a bad story came out, or was just misogyny on Shooter's part? I don't know.
I think it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B, a little bit of some other stuff. Frank Springer probably not being really into it,
Because, yeah, I mean, again, it's like if you're trying to draw attention to that ongoing series, I don't think this helped it.
Yeah, no.
Like if I read this and I hadn't been reading the ongoing series, I'd be like, yeah, I don't think that's for me, because this girl
put me off Dazzler.
This girl seems kind of a dummy. Okay.
Yeah, this would have put me off Dazzler. I'd be like, this is the regular creative team for the Dazzler comic book? Oh, I ain't buying this.
Maybe if this hadn't come out, maybe Dazzler would have made it to 50.
Maybe. They did redesign her costume right after this, and they did change the creative team. Archie Goodwin was the writer for a little while, so they tried to right the ship. And maybe they did a good job with it. We'll eventually find out.
Although I do remember, I don't know if they canceled it because originally, before they went with the plan of resurrecting Jean Grey, when they were doing that original X Factor, Alison Blaire was supposed to take that Jean Grey role.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
The original X Factor would have been Allison instead of Jean Grey. So.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That would have changed that dynamic a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I'm trying to remember. Is it the last issue of Dazzler, which I haven't read? I would need to read that too, but I swear there's like a page somewhere where it's like, I think it's her and Beast walking away from like, away from like quote unquote camera. And it's like basically him saying something like, oh, let me tell you about something called X Factor or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, number 42, right? Yeah.
Yeah, whatever that last
Which
issue. Yeah.
which was 86, and that was right when X Factor started.
Yeah, so yeah, I think up till I don't know if it was the last minute or what, but yeah, so the original plan was to have her do that.
Wow, that's
Oh.
cool. I had no idea about that.
Oh yeah, because look, I just pulled up 42 on the app, and it's the solicit says Beast comes to Allison with an offer to join a new X team.
Ooh.
So yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
so that's what I'm saying. No, I don't know if that was just the last minute decision. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, last panel of the last issue. Yep, there's Beast. And,
Oh yeah.
lots of factors to be considered, Daz. For instance, not that I dream of exerting influence, but how does the X factor strike you?
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Oh God,
That could be a what if issue. What if Dazzler had X Factor?
I mean, the whole thing would be like, oh, what if they had never found Jean Grey at the bottom of the river there? Yeah.
Yeah, what if Jean Grey never came back and it was Dazzler? Yeah, that would be so cool.
Hell, I don't think Cyclops would have came back if it wasn't Jean Grey. So probably would have been Iceman, Beast, Angel, Dazzler, and maybe someone else. Yeah, give me that what if.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'm still happy that she became part of the X-Men.
Yes, but
she wasn't an X Factor. She at least found a good home in the X-Men, because I was reading the X-Men regularly when she was a member of the team.
Oh, that's another era we got to cover. That era. Yeah. The Australian Outback era.
The Australian Outback era. It was her and Longshot and Havoc and Colossus.
And one of your favorite. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, love that team. Yep.
Oh, you go far enough along, get like the first appearances like Gambit.
And Deadpool. Although that was in another title.
New Mutants, yeah.
But right around the same time, yeah.
Oh yeah, they started sprouting up, man. Oh, stay tuned next year, kids. We're gonna have a two weeks of what is it? Extinction Agenda?
Extinction Agenda, yes.
Yeah.
2 week spectacular here on Marvel Tales, yeah.
Yeah.
Starting off our summer crossover spectaculars.
Oh, there's so much good stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, are we done pooping on this issue?
I think so. Yeah, like I said, I'm glad we read it because it does show how far we've come. Like, thankfully, female characters are treated with a lot more respect these days, which I'm happy about. And this could have been a lot more, but a lot better than it was. So it's a nice point of reference for how far we've come in the last 40 years. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so only 3 more episodes left this year, kids. Next week we'll do more Dazzler. Hopefully it'll be better. I have a feeling it will be.
I think it will be.
I don't think it'll get worse. We're going to cover the first 4 issues of that Dazzler ongoing series. So we're going to step back in time a little bit because I swear I saw Dr. Doom on one of the covers. So I'm thinking it's going to be better.
Oh yeah, I think so too. And just looking at the creative team too, I think for some good stuff.
Yeah. And then the last 2 weeks we'll get you some holiday episode or issues for like Captain America 292 and Thor 444. And the last week will be Iron Man 254 and 313. So send us your thoughts on all of those and stay tuned for Defenduary.
Yes, Defenduary all month long.
Yes. All right. So lots of good stuff coming the rest of this year and in 2024. Trust me, Justin and I take painstaking detail on what goes where and what we're going to cover. So
we have a nice full variety, a nice smorgasbord of variety next year.
It's always on our minds, kids.
That's right.
All right, so send us your thoughts. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And like I said, I think I said last time, if you want more Dazzler, check out Ultimate Spider-Cast. Lilith and I will be doing Amazing Spider-Man 203 and then Marvel Tales 108 and 109 for more Dazzler needs.
Yes.
All right. And remember, you can find all things Capes and Lunatics, episodes, social media, merchandise, and the Patreon. Join the Patreon Elite like the owl over there.
Yes, join me in the Patreon lead to get access to all the bonus episodes, all the perks, all the good stuff, all the uncensored Lilith Hellfire you could possibly want.
Yes. All right. So, yes, find it all at tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. That's tubespace.io/Capes and Lunatics Podcast Network. All right. This is Mr. Justin the Owl. You'll hear him here every week on Marvel Tales. Once a month at the end of every month on We Are the Night.
The Batman Podcast.
So everyone loves that show.
Batman, my favorite character.
I gave you one
It
episode
is
off,
a fan
right?
favorite.
Yes. I could hear him twice a month on Electric Mullet, the Superman podcast, where we go in order from 1986 on. And of course, once a month, you'll hear me, Justin, and that crazy hillbilly Russell cover the Energon universe, all the new Transformers and G.I. Joe stuff coming out of the out of Image Comics right now. So check that out. And the king of podcasting is not done there. Justin, where else can people hear you?
You can find me on even more shows. You can find me twice a month on Gamma Charge, the strongest podcast there is, where me and my pal Russell talk about Incredible Hulk and the sensational She-Hulk twice a month. We also have a Patreon page, so do check that out. And Russell and I are joined by our friends Sparky and Ray over on Predator and Prey, the Yucha podcast. That's also twice a month, and we talk about Fox's Predator in comic books, action figures, movies, and more. And also, Russell and I have another side project, Gone the Form of Man, the Etrigan podcast, where once a month we talk about DC's Demon in going back all the way to 1973 and 4, Jack Kirby's Immortal series. We're having great fun with that. And last but not least, The Lost Library of Legends, my solo podcast, is a spotlight on forgotten and undiscovered comic books of the last 40 years. And the latest episode is a spotlight on a 4-issue miniseries from 2013 published by Dynamite Comic Books called The Owl.
Ooh. Who wrote that? Who wrote that?
You'll have to find out.
Oh.
You'll have to tune into the episode and find
Nice. Nice.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. Tapping my way downtown. Well, that escalated quickly.
Yes, I love a tease. Yes. All right. Come back next week. I haven't even read it yet, but come back next week for a better Dazzler story.
Yes. It's definitely going to be better.
I haven't read it, and I almost guarantee it's going to be a better story.
Well, it's written by Tom DeFalco, and it's got pencils by
Oh.
John Romita Jr., so we're in good hands.
Yeah. I would bet my life savings on that. Yeah, it's going to be a better story.
And we see Dr. Doom, so we're going to be in
Yes.
good hands. We're going to be in good shape.
Petty college dropout. Yes. All right, kids. Come back next time. And remember, be a nice person.